William en Rompi, over Nessa, alle van die voertjes, van de eiers. Ik klim William op, dus William moet die opklimmen. Klim William aan één op, toen val die kraagdraad om, toen gooi die kraagdraad om weg.
What would you say, William, to somebody else that this happened to?
I can tell them about my story. They must be strong. Straight away.
We are going lunks.
Oh, you're gonna turn by yourself. Good, good. Nicely done, William.
Say stop my heart. Stop my heart by jou. Is er geloof voor jou? Ik het lief geword voor jou. Ik zal voor jou alles geven. Ik zal je tranen afvegen. Dat is alles voor jou. Ja, zie.
Watch where you're going.
Drive. Kanaal drijven iemand.
William is charismatic, outgoing, humorous, very clever, very curious. He is determined. He is very willful. He is funny. I've never met anyone quite like William.
Your foot's not on brake, is it?
Look there, where's the petrol? Is there petrol in?
Yeah, there's petrol. It's not starting.
Getting to know William has been some of the most profound and magical times of my life. I'm Sasha Archer. I'm an art therapist from the States. I have been in the burns unit for the last 6 months, volunteering as an art therapist. The first time I met William, it was about a week after he had been transferred from the ICU to the burns unit. At that stage, he was relearning to walk, and so he was pretty sedentary in bed, and he was not really communicative. He was quite depressed at that time. I could just see in his eyes that he also really wanted to do some art, and I thought, absolutely, why not? Directly behind us is the dressing room where all the burns patients get their daily dressing changes, which is probably one of the most traumatic parts of being a burns patient. It's very, very painful. And actually, I've found that when I do the art therapy with the children, they have so much anxiety building up to the dressing changes because they know how painful that it's going to be, that I will either go in and do art with them right before they have a dressing change or directly when they come out, because it's a great distraction and it's so closely linked to play that it's really fun for them and it takes their mind off of all the difficulties of being in hospital. Art therapy is a form of expressive therapy. It's a form of counseling that combines psychotherapy and creative expression through the arts. And it's really a non-verbal form of communication and counseling. And oftentimes the kids will tell their stories. They don't want to talk about it. They're too traumatized. But the story will often come out in the artwork. The first time I took William home was at Christmas for a visit with his family. He lives there with his aunt and uncle and cousins. It was here on the farm where William happened to be playing one day with his 5-year-old cousin, Rompy.
Rompy and William is its cousins.
Mijn juffie.
Is there?
Rompy.
They was all day together.
William, leading up to that point, he had a fascination with birds and birds' nests, and he liked to collect nests. His auntie had told me a story about him saving some baby birds and putting them in a box and trying to kind of nurse them back to health.
What's your name?
Rompy. En die is Roman. Roman Botes.
En Robbie, het jy daai ding gesien? Jy het?
Ik heb een kracht daar geklimmen.
Ja.
Ik gezien ja.
Was er 'n aardige ding?
Ik weet niet. Je moet zeggen ja.
Onthou jy? Nee.
Waar zijn de baan? De baan was je bedoel ja. Hij zoekt waar hij naar Roman. Ja, bedoel je. Dat is zo zwaar erin.
So that particular day, William and Rompy, the 5-year-old cousin, were outside of the home playing on the grape farm where they live. And there is a number of high voltage power pylons on the farm property.
So where are we going?
To the pole.
Hey William,
To the pole.
what's at the pole? Hey, what are you gonna show me?
So I will show you how William come in that accident and where William go up there. When William shot there, I'm gonna show you that.
Okay.
On this particular pole, there was a bird's nest that William spotted, and he decided that he wanted to climb the pole and fetch the nest. The last thing he remembers is reaching up for the nest, and after that, all he remembers is waking up in hospital. So his 5-year-old cousin witnessed the electrocution and the fall.
What's this?
Nest. He was there by the draft.
Yeah.
Then William will go to get the nest.
En dis dieselfde nes, William?
Yes. Toen klim ik op. Toen had ik een nest. Afval, toen trek ik kracht op te gooien het mij neer. Ik heb terugval.
William is out. William is bewusteloos.
There you are.
I'm Leone. I'm the physio working in the burns unit. Glenn, the other physio, is also involved with a lot of his rehab.
He came to the ICU and his injuries were substantial. He had a completely charred right arm, which is the arm that they had to amputate all the way at the shoulder. And he had severe burns on his left arm. They were actually able to save the partial limb. He had a partial amputation right below the elbow. He had a number of surgeries. He had to go to theater many, many times because they were trying to save as much of that arm as they could, but they kept having to take off to cut more and more and more just because of how substantial the burns were.
Bubbles.
It's been told to me by a number of the nursing sisters that he's the only child with those type of severe injuries that they've ever witnessed that's come in here and been so incredibly brave. He never ever cried during dressing changes. And he's just incredibly brave and strong. And that's something William's always said too. I must be strong. You must be strong. Someone who's taken a keen interest in William is Clinton Smith from Cosmesis Advanced Prosthetic Studio. Cosmesis makes prostheses for the film and television industry. Clinton's offered to make a series of prostheses for William over the years, depending on what his needs are and as he grows. The team's going to begin by making a crude prototype of the first, what they're calling the prosthetic sock, so that they can test William's needs and capabilities. Developing the prostheses is going to be a complex and expensive process, and really it will depend upon future support and funding.
It's actually making a difference in somebody's life, so the reward is way bigger than what you would do in a film. So that's the reason why we started going into more medical stuff and helping people that can't actually afford prostheses.
It's net 'n prototype. So wat dit beteken is dis nie die regte ene nie. Dis net so dat ons kan toets. What we want to test now is to see what the weight is doing, because this is a different product which is a lot heavier. Move it down. Then we need to look at a stronger spring and obviously something more lightweight. Okay, I'm going to leave this now. Hoe voel dit moeilik, swaar. We're trying to see with you doing everything yourself how we can drive a spring on the inside, opening and closing like a claw.
Dat is reis.
Ja?
En dit is die wingerde.
Ja? Baie dankie.
En dit is die hoenders.
What's this dog's name?
Hoe laat
Is hy 'n goeie hond?
baie keer buite. Deze Stijn. En hij is mijn familie.
Jouw ma, hulle?
Mijn ma is dood.
His mother died in 2007. It was TB related, and he's been moved around a lot.
Mijn naam is Wilhelmina Smit. Ik is getrouwd Smit. Ik woon al 7 jaar op die plaats. En mijn werk is ik een gewone werker. Ik werk met druiven. Ik moet hier bij de huis 3 kinders voeren. Maar ik hou eigenlijk van kost maken. Dat is mijn stokwerkje. Ik eet hier gewoon vleesje. Ons krijgen omtrent 200 en iets, amper 280 een week. Dan moet ik nog 14 weken zijn kost kopen. En die 14 weken zijn kost kan niet uitkomen. Dat kan niet uitkomen.
This is where I watch TV. I like TV.
William was mijn vriend.
Hoekom?
En ik hou van hem. En je speelt samen.
Hij speelt saam.
Ja,
Speel hulle lekker.
ja.
Wat is soorte speel hulle?
Cricket.
Hè?
Speel cricket.
Cricket. In wie is die batsman?
Ik is de beste slager. Zo.
Cricket. Do you like cricket? No, I don't like cricket because it's for parents.
In William?
William kan niet.
Hoekom?
Als hij speelt soccer, hij speelt hij samen.
William was a very good goalkeeper.
Wie is jij? Wie is jij? Bafana.
Oh, zo Zuid-Afrika. Zijn pieuw is sabalala.
Now he's playing in the game soccer. Oh, William is good with his feet. He's not the goalkeeper now. He's playing with us in the game.
My dream is a car.
Why?
I would like to drive a car one day.
Why?
It's my plan. This place big.
Last week we went on a surprise adventure to meet a very special woman.
Hi. Are you Nikki?
Yes, I am. I'm Sasha.
Hi, nice to meet you.
This is William.
Hi, William. Nice to meet you.
I'm Nikki Abdenor. I'm a clinical psychologist at Milnerton Mediclinic. I was born without arms and shortened legs. I think where I was so fortunate was certainly my parents' attitude. And I think one of the biggest things that helped me was actually going to mainstream schooling. So from nursery school age, I went to school with children without a disability, and I think that made me feel very normal. And here's when I was learning to walk. You can see my 2 legs, one shorter than the other. So that's why it was a bit difficult to learn to walk.
Hello, William. It's nice to have you visiting me today. Let's go for a drive.
Nikki's Drive, it's a non-profit organisation that's aimed to help people with disabilities be mobile and independent through the adaptation of motor vehicles. And so I use my chin. So if you come on this side, then you can see like that. And then I push it open like that. He's got to think about different ways of doing things. It's almost like a problem-solving exercise, each thing you do physically. So there's a special button to start the car. Like this. There we go. Now this is what I steer with. Forward, the wheel turns left. And then I push back, the wheel turns right. There we go. Because you can either choose to focus on what you can't do, or you choose to focus on what you can do. I mean, if I wanted to do a handstand right now, I'm going to be depressed because I can't do it.
Does the car have a name?
Well, at first I was calling it Kit, like Knight Rider. See, it is black and it does amazing things. And you know, it also happens, William, when somebody's in a big car next to me, because you know this is a little car, and they get such a fright when they stop at the robot and they see me with no hands on the steering wheel and they see the steering wheel turn. And I think for William, I mean, he's got a long road of adjustment ahead of him, but I'm hoping that today had a big effect on which path he's going to take. That seeing somebody who has a disability, who does work, who does drive, who lives independently, I'm hoping that's going to motivate him to help himself to do that.
Bye.
I have mixed feelings about the future for William. It's, at this point, there's a big question mark. It's a little uncertain. I think there's great potential for what William is capable of and what he could do. He, as I've said, he's incredibly bright. If he could continue with school and get into a university, I think there's incredible potential for him. And his determination, I think, too, you know, says a great deal. However, that being said, it's the resources that's an issue.
Right? Nou gaan we zo direct vragen voor ons vallei. Wat is die belangrijkste landbouwproduct en bosvallei?
Mijnbouw.
Mijnbouw! Is hier mijne?
Druiven.
William, wie zei wat is het belangrijkste landbouwproduct?
Druiven, ja.
Yes!
En Lorre.
Die skolas uit 'n blokkie cornflake.
Ja.
Ek is bekommerd van dit wat William oorgekom het, dit was maar net 'n ongeluk. Ons kan nie weer teruggaan in die ongeluk hier nie. Dat het klaar gebeur, dat gaan nou net so bly. Het jy arms verloor en dan ook klaar.
En hoe voel jy oor die toekoms, William?
Alright.
Today is his last day at the hospital, and we are now into fall, so we're lucky that the sun was out today so that we could have one last swim. Today is a very emotional day, and it's very bittersweet because it is his last day. It's exciting and it's wonderful, and we're all thrilled for him because after his 4-month stay at hospital, he's finally getting discharged and he gets to go home for good. It's really difficult to put into words what I've learned from William. It's been such a humbling and inspirational journey. I think I've learned from him what it is to truly have hope. I think he has just taught me that absolutely anything is possible. I've never met anyone quite like William. I'll never be the same.
It's your last day here. What do you think about that?
So, I'm excited.
Are you? If you could say anything to all the nurses and the doctors and everyone here who made you better, what would you say?
Thank you for helping me.
Cha, cha,